So a couple of months ago, Shin Kamen Rider got a very limited screening in America. No Australia, no New Zealand, no Europe or UK, only America for a very short time. And I was very bummed out that I wasn't able to see this movie in the cinemas. And I thought, hey, maybe there'll be other means for me to watch this movie later down the line by sailing the high seas. And that was my fate. I accepted that. I was like, that's probably the only way I'm going to watch this movie within the next couple of months. Well, 2 months later, Shin Kamen Rider has dropped on Amazon Prime. That's right. You can go and watch Shin Kamen Rider right now on Amazon Prime. And I just got done watching it, and this movie was freaking fantastic. Now, I haven't seen much of the original Kamen Rider. I've seen like a couple of episodes, a couple of handfuls, a couple of memes, couple of clips, couple of bits here and there, but I haven't seen all 100 episodes. I should commit to it and one day watch it. But Shin Kamen Rider, finally out, done by Hideaki Anno. I've always enjoyed Hideaki Anno's work. I grew up watching Evangelion. I loved the Evangelion rebuild films. I mean, waiting between Evangelion 3.3 and the final one felt like a lifetime, and those movies were really freaking great, like going back and watching them. But to finally see Shin Kamen Rider was a treat, and I really, really enjoyed this movie. And this movie is a love letter to the original Kamen Rider series, and you can tell that by watching the movie, because Anno grew up on Tokusatsu, he grew up on Ultraman, he grew up on Rider, he grew up on Sentai, he grew up on Godzilla, and you can tell by watching this movie that he put a lot of love and care into this movie when working on it. Will he do a sequel later down the line? He says he's got ideas, but after seeing the ending, I feel like it's setting it up for a sequel later down the line if we're going to get a Shin Kamen Rider V3 or something like that in the nearby future. That'd be freaking cool. But one thing I really loved about this movie was the story is retelling the original Kamen Rider series in its own unique way. You see some familiar monsters, you see some familiar plot threads. From what I've been told, it does follow the manga. I have not read the Kamen Rider manga. I own it. I have not sat down and read that big, thick book yet. I need to do it. It's on the list, trust me. But people say that it follows some of the source material from that, from what I've heard. I haven't read it, so I can't confirm that. But either way, this movie was freaking great. Like, the characters, the action was great. Like, the action blew me away, especially the special effects and the explosions and stuff like that. But even if there wasn't a crazy fight scene, the fight choreography was great as well, especially near the end in the final climactic battle where it does get really super crazy with all the powers that the riders have, but then there's just a scene where they're just flailing around on the floor fighting, and that was like just really cool as well, because there's no music, it's just them flailing around on the floor, and you can just hear the sounds as they're fighting each other. That was freaking great as well. Like, that thing I loved as well. Well, that scene I loved as well. The music, the composer of this music, I don't know their name, I'm sorry, but I looked them up and they've done music for stuff like Soul Eater, I believe one of the Persona games or one of the Persona TV series, but the music that they composed for this was freaking great. Basically the tracks that they would be playing during the fight scenes or during the Shocker confrontations were freaking great. But not only that, the Shocker augments were interesting in themselves because they had their own personalities and quirks, from the Spider Guy to the Scorpion Lady to the Wasp. All the different augments that they fight, or the Shocker monsters, they all had their own personalities and stuff like that, and you sort of become attached to them in a way, although their screen time was limited, you kind of got to understand why they do the things they do, because they sort of had this desire, this pleasure from the things that they do from killing people, and you kind of see that when they're killing people left, right, and center, which, speaking of killing, the blood in this film is all over the place. I love it. I mean, the first 2 minutes just open up with two guys getting their heads caved in by frickin' Kamen Rider Ichigo, which is frickin' great. Some people probably don't like the blood and stuff like that, but I liked it. I think the blood was really frickin' cool. The it's gory. It's gory. Like, I know that blood doesn't always equal cool, but I feel like it catches you off guard and you're like, ooh, that's messy. One fight I really got a kick out of as well, and I posted this on Twitter, is the fight between Kamen Rider 1 and Kamen Rider 2, where they fight in that power plant area, and they fight in the sky, and they're running across, like, all the pipes and stuff like that, and then they jump up and they just keep fighting and running. That fight gave me so much Dragon Ball vibes with them just throwing punches in the air. That was an amazing fight scene as well. Like, that just gave me so many Dragon Ball vibes from watching that battle between the two. Now, one criticism I saw a lot about this movie online is the pacing. Now, the pacing isn't downright terrible. I will admit the pacing does slow down in the movie a lot here and there, and then it picks up, and then it slows down, and then it picks up. I'm kind of used to that because this is Anno. Anno does have bits in his movie, whether it be the rebuild of Evangelion, the Shin Godzilla, Shin Ultraman. There are scenes where the movie does slow down and it focuses on the character. And you get that a lot here. I mean, there's scenes where you get this cool action scene, then it slows down, and then it picks right up again. So there are some scenes that do drag in this movie. I think one of the bits that confused me a lot is the Wasp scene, where it looked like there was going to be a confrontation. Then there was some talking for a bit, and then suddenly the building gets knocked down, more talking, and then you get the cool action fight scene, which was really freaking cool. I really love that sword fight scene we got in the movie. That was great. That Wasp character was really freaking cool as well. But I can understand where the pacing criticism comes from, because it is Anno, and a lot of his movies can be fairly long, and he does focus on the characters a lot, and the character drama with everything going on. I mean, if you've seen the final Evangelion movie, that is like a 3-hour animated film, and oh boy, does that movie drag on. It has some cool action scenes, but there are scenes in that movie that drag on a lot. So I can understand where people are coming from when it comes to the criticism of the pacing. Now, I did watch this not at a cinema, I watched it on my computer monitor, so I could pause the movie, I could step away, I can do other stuff while I was watching it. So, I did feel the pacing at some bits where I just had to sort of slow down, rewind, and sort of ingest everything. I'm sure if I saw this at the cinema, it would have been a different experience, but I do wonder if I would have had felt that pacing as well if I would be seeing it at the cinema, because I know there are some people that said that they didn't feel the pacing, some people said they did feel it, but I can understand where people are coming from when it comes to the criticism of the pacing, because I did feel it in some scenes when watching the movie. Alright, I probably spoiled some things earlier on in the video, but I'm going to get into some big spoilers, so if you don't want to get spoiled and you haven't watched the movie yet, click off this video because we're about to talk spoilers. So, the villain, Ichiro, he kind of felt like a weak villain to me, to be honest. I understood what he was doing, I understood what his goal was. He did have a heartwarming moment where he reunites with his sister, and he dies so he can be with her. That was a nice little moment. I felt like his motivation was a little bit weak. Maybe they're planning on doing a sequel where we're going to actually see who the actual true leader for Shocker is, because maybe there's someone else pulling the strings behind the organization. But from what I've heard as well, there's also like a manga that goes into the characters and their backstories, and you can understand them better, or understand their motivation better, which is alright, but this manga is probably not going to get legally translated, and I don't know if it's been scanlated or fan scanlated yet, or translated by fans, so it's probably really hard to find out there, so I'll have to hunt that down to probably understand these characters' backstory moving forward, but I felt like he had a really cool suit design, I will say that. His suit design was really cool. That was one thing that got spoiled to me when the movie dropped in Japan, and then Toei did it themselves in a trailer. But his suit was cool, like a butterfly rider. That was really great. And then he's got like the white scarf, and he says like butterflies symbolize rebirth and stuff like that. So that was cool. I feel like he was kind of a weak villain, and I kind of wish he did more, because it just built up to fighting him at the end, and then they have the fight. Like I said, it was cool when they were flailing around on the floor trying to fight him and Takeshi. That was cool. But I feel like that villain could have done more instead of like leading up to like the final confrontation with him as they took on like all the augments. So that's kind of a shame. The Ruko death scene did get me a little bit teary-eyed. That was kind of sad. But that actress, I feel like, carried the scenes that they were in from start to finish, and she did a fantastic job. And that final moments where you see her was emotional as well. So that was a nice little scene as well. Now the ending, big ending spoilers coming up. So Takeshi sacrifices himself and puts his prana, his spirit, into the helmet. And Hayato is going to be the writer moving forward. He's going to sort of carry on his will and keep fighting Shocker and protecting the world. And that's a weird cliffhanger, but then again it's an Anno cliffhanger, because if you've seen stuff like Shin Godzilla, he does these really weird endings. So I don't know if he's sequel baiting us or it's leaving the door open for if he wants to do a sequel, but I do wonder where the series or the Shin Kamen Rider series is going to go moving forward if they do a sequel, because the first writer is no longer with us. So will we see another writer later? Will he come back later down the line? Because no doubt about it, they're going to do something with V3 probably if they do something like that, or are they going to retell another part of the manga that wasn't adapted? So that's the big question. But overall, my overall thoughts on this movie is if you're a Rider fan, check out this movie. If you love Kamen Rider, watch this movie. It's on Amazon for free. If you typed in the video, where can I watch this? You weren't paying attention, you weren't listening, and I'm very disappointed in you. But also, if you're on Amazon, type in Shin Masked Rider, because that's where it translates to, and that's how you'll find it easier on Amazon. So, heads up for that. If you type in Shin Masked Rider, you'll just get Black Sun. So, just a heads up for that, even though, the video's almost over. But this film's freaking great. Like I said, if you're a fan of Toku, you're a fan of Rider, this is definitely up your alley. Another great film from Anno, and he said that he's going to take a break after doing this movie, so no, God knows what he's going to do next, but he says he's tired, he wants to sleep, and he has some ideas for a sequel for the Shin Kamen Rider if he ever gets to use them, so maybe we'll see them later down the line, you never know. But anyway guys, that's my rambling, my review of Shin Kamen Rider. Have you guys watched the movie yet? What did you think of it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions. With that said, I'm out of here. Have a wonderful day or night. I'll see you guys later. Peace out. Take care. Bye.